Hello, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is I've Got Guts, a podcast about living and thriving with chronic illness. Let's be real, it is really hard.
But it doesn't have to be. You are not alone.
With this podcast, we want to create a community and a space to be able to talk about the tough stuff
And laugh along the way.
The idea for this podcast stemmed from us trying to find one for ourselves to listen to, but not being able to find anything that didn't make us more sad or frustrated.
Our goal is to talk about the hard stuff, but also talk about how to get through it, be positive, have a full and productive life, and of course, thrive.
But before we get started, just so we are clear, we are not medical professionals. We are just here sharing our personal experiences. Thorns and roses.
Here we go.
I'm dying to hear your thorn story, so you have to start us off.
Okay, I'm going to kick us off. So there's been...
I'm laughing already and I don't even know the story.
So it's just like one of those moments where maybe I dove into a house project under some stress and some frustration, and it didn't go well. So we have our back door that goes into the garage.
Right.
And we don't have a key for it. So we keep having just issues with like, who unlocked it? Is mom coming over to get Connor? Like, did we unlock it? Did we lock it at night? Just the constant, we have to get a key for this door. Because our front door, the keypad thing stopped working the way.
Plus, you can't use it right now because there's a mama nest situation, right?
Yes, exactly. So our front door we can't use because a mama bird built a nest in my spring wreath, and there's going to be eggs in there. Connor and I are convinced. We actually think there might be some. It's really hard to see the way the nest is built, but anyway, so we can't use our front door. So we're using the back door, and we don't have a key. The previous owners didn't leave a key for that doorknob. So we ended up having a situation where Connor and my mom couldn't get in after school, and poor Kenzie's inside, and they had plans to go in the house, right? I mean, it was fine. My mom took him back to her house. So anyway, I'm leaving work, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Lowe's.
Oh, that's never a good thing.
I'm going to get myself a doorknob. So I go in there. I'm like, there's so many choices. So I didn't pick the cheapest. I didn't pick the most expensive. I just did middle of the road. I'm like, this would be a nice one.
Right.
So I get this one, and I get it home, and I'm like, nobody's home yet 'cause Mom's bringing Connor back. Sean's on the way home from work. I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I open it up. It needs just a screwdriver. So I took off the deadbolt, and then I go to put the new one, and it was such a long screw.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I can't remember what screw went where.
Oh boy.
So that's when I think I got a bit tripped up. Well, long story short, Sean pulls in the driveway. Sean got home first. He's like, Lauren, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm solving this problem and da-da-da-da-da. But at this point, the screw was half in. It was kind of crooked.
Oh, no.
It was a mess. Sean tries to do something with it. He strips the screw. We can't get it in.
Shoot.
So he just does this like Jimmy rig thing and like puts it in. Long story short, 2.5 hours later.
Oh my God, 2.5 hours.
And during this time, the wind starts blowing. Then we get that thunderstorm. The thunder's going.
Anthony's shaking his head right now because he's probably like, this is something Stephanie would do.
Mom comes and drops Connor quick. Hey, bye, quick thing. Connor goes inside. We don't hear from him. He knows better to stay away from the situation. It's raining. The thunderstorm's happening. We ended up getting I got one that had like concealed screws. It took us so long to figure out how to pop that off and get it in. Sean was not happy with me, and I put the wrong screw in accidentally.
Oh, no.
And then I got them all mixed up, and it was just such a mess. So long story short, that was my thorn.
Is there a doorknob now?
There's a doorknob, and it works. Careful, you might get snagged by a screw though.
Okay, yeah. I'll be sure to note that.
Sean had to put a random screw in that we had, but it actually worked out all right.
Oh my God.
So that was my long thorn today.
Wonderful.
Our marriage survived.
You made it this long. I think you can handle a doorknob.
He was really mad at me. I did apologize though. I usually am not the first to apologize. So.
You should have gotten a gluten treat. That would have been.
I should have gotten him a gluten treat. Instead, I gave him a back scratching.
There you go. That's equally as nice. Equally as nice.
All right, Rome, your thorn.
Oh, well, my thorn is related to my thorn from last week.
Oh, gosh.
It's the anal fissure that never ends.
I don't know why are we laughing at each other's thorns?
Because it is, at this point, what else can you do other than laugh?
It's true.
So I went and saw my gastro on Friday. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I'll have to do a rectal exam.
Oh, yes. You texted me this because you were coming over to
Yeah, I was
do
like,
an
unexpected
activity.
rectal exam running a little late.
I'm like, oh, boy.
It was just so awkward because, like, normally I see her at the hospital, but this time I was at, like, the office, and they didn't have, like, a cloth to drape over my legs. So I'm just, like, no pants on, curled in the fetal position. She has her nurse practitioner, who's a guy in the room. She's like, I need a chaperone. I'm like, what? Why? I'm not going to, like...
Wait, you needed a chaperone?
She needed a chaperone.
Oh.
And he didn't, like, go on the other side. He was fully where she was, like, watching her do the rectal exam. It was so uncomfortable.
Oh, so awkward.
And it hurt, obviously. And she's like, wow, not only do you have an anal fissure, but you have several hemorrhoids. I was like, wonderful. Can I put my pants on now?
Oh, my goodness.
So she's like, really? There's nothing we could do for you. It has to heal, and it's a really hard thing to heal. I was like, great.
Lovely.
So that's Friday. Mm-hmm. By Sunday, I'm like doing math in my head. I'm like, oh my God, it's been almost 3 or 4 days again since I've gone to the bathroom.
No, Rome.
And then I tried to go, and it was like really hard again. So something's going on. And I started taking my Elevata again because I had stopped because like there's a question if I was taking too many vitamins with my prenatal.
Yeah.
I was like pounding olive oil. I was taking 2 to 3 stool softeners a day, mind you, in this week.
So crazy.
So I had to break out the enema bucket
again,
and it took a really long time to work again.
Stop it.
So I don't know what's going on. And so that was Sunday. It's been 2 days now. I've been taking stool softeners with laxatives now for 2 days, and it's still nothing.
Stop it.
So I'm afraid something's happening with.
Right, because you've been so good. Everything's been so good. Why is your body bugging out?
I don't know.
And
my diet hasn't changed.
I was just going to say, anything with your diet, anything else?
No, nothing's changed. That's where I'm like, why is this happening?
So bizarre.
It's real thorny.
Oh, that is a sharp thorn.
Literally.
God, in the bucket now.
Literally. All right, let's stop talking about anal fissures. Let's move on to roses.
Move on to roses.
What was your rose?
Okay, so my rose is hosting Easter at our house. So
second year in a row.
Second year in a row. Last Easter, I made it known that was actually, we moved in last January, and that April, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to host Easter. Patricia, Sean's Aunt Patricia, used to host and then kind of stopped hosting, and nobody took on the holiday. I'm like, this is my time to shine. So I hosted last year, and it went great. So I hosted again for the second year, and it went so good. Our Sean's aunt and cousins from down south were in town. Yeah. So they got to see the house and come over, and, Connor got to do an egg hunt and help me do the egg hunt, plan it ahead of time.
He was excited about
the littler kids. And it was a really special day, and it was so much fun. And I have my new farm table in the dining room.
Beautiful.
And that worked really well. The food came out great. It was just, honestly, after everybody left, Sean and I were like, that was so fun. And this is exactly when we bought this house. I love to host.
Yeah.
I love getting people together and just having family time. And it just was a really special Easter. So
love that.
It was a beautiful rose this Easter Sunday. Actually, it was Easter Saturday.
Yeah, I like that you did that.
Yeah.
They don't give us the Monday off after a major holiday. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and we wanted to, knowing if anyone was coming from out of town, it just gave everybody a day, on Sunday, to be able to get home if they needed to. So
that's smart.
Yeah, it was great. What was your rose?
I actually have a double header.
Ooh.
there's like no way to pick one because they were both so rosy for me.
Okay. I love rosy rosies.
So I had a special day with Connor over break.
You did.
And here's the thing. He is just such a special kid. So every year for his birthday, I write him a poem and it's a riddle that he has to figure out. And I never give him a thing. I give him an adventure because I want him to have the memories. So I was going to print just the pictures from our adventures, but then I got crazy and printed like every picture of me and Connor from the time he was born to now.
I know, I come home and I'm like, that is a really large stack of photos.
So we went like to Michael's and he picked out like the paper and the letter stickers and stickers to go with each theme. Cause like, it's always something different. Like one time we went and interacted with otters. And then one time I got him to meet Josh Allen and best aunt ever, by the way.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. That's who we're talking about here.
And then the best part of it was like when we started scrapbooking, he was so into it. Like placement of where everything had to be. And he kept like looking back and everything had to be perfect. He's like, this is so much fun. Sorry, Wobby, but he was like, can I not go to Wobby's house and stay here and do this with that room? And I was like, Wobby will be so mad at me.
He is so my son. What a crafter. I love it.
So that was my first thorn. And then we didn't get to come to Easter at your house this year because it was our 3-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary, you two lovebirds, you.
So we actually went to the restaurant. It's called Tapas that the night Anthony proposed.
Love that.
The weirdest part of it is they like sat us at the exact same table.
I love
we
that.
both ordered the same exact entrees. It was
like purposely or just like naturally?
No, that's just what we both wanted. It was actually a special. And Anthony's like, I think I'm going to get the salmon. I was like, I'm having deja vu right now. This is literally what happened the last time.
Was it the special last time?
Yes.
I love that.
And then we went to Pittsford Dairy and got some ice cream.
Yum.
And then we went and actually saw like a local house she does Christmas lights, but she also does Easter lights. So we went and saw the Easter lights.
How were they? I meant to ask you.
It was more like inflatables.
Okay, yeah.
But it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was cute. She definitely went all out.
Lots of bunnies.
Lots of bunnies. Yeah. Lots of eggs. Lots of crosses.
I love it. I love it. All the things,
All the
Easter.
Things. So I love a double rose week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's get into our interview today.
We have such an exciting interview for you guys.
We do.
All right. Today we are welcoming someone we've known for years, our friend Beth.
Yes, I first met Beth through our mutual friend, Joellen, years ago. Beth is a teacher, a wife, and mom to 3. Her son, Chase, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And since then, Beth has been on a journey that so many parents with chronically ill kids can relate to, one filled with highs, lows, resilience, and relentless love.
And from what I've heard, Chase is seriously a rock star. He plays 3 sports, is a Niue state wrestling champ, plays the saxophone, and somehow still finds time for chess club. But behind all that, there's the daily roller coaster of managing a chronic illness that most people don't see.
I've been following your past posts, Beth, and as you just authentically share what it's really like to parent a child with type 1 diabetes. And we're just so thrilled to have you here today. So welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I was trying to calculate it. I think it's been about like 20 years. I was like,
yeah.
I mean, it's your college roommates and stuff. We went to high school together.
We went to high school together.
So it's like, and then you forget. I'm like, a few years, like 20 years. It's crazy.
It's so wild how long we've known. And I love how we get on Zoom and it's like no time has passed. The good old days. We were so young back then.
We were 20 years ago. Yes. All right. So can you take us back to the moment when Chase was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and what were the signs and how did you guys handle that news as a family?
So this part of the story to me is always like, I feel like I've told this part a lot to people because I feel like had we known a little bit more, maybe we would have acted sooner. So, and part of it is just, so Chase was diagnosed officially January 2nd, 2024. So this past January was his 1 year of having type 1 diabetes. And so he was first there was a couple of things that were going on with Chase when we figured out that he was getting sick. And then there was a couple other factors that were going on that helped us like be of why maybe it was delayed. So first thing we noticed with Chase is that he was losing weight. But it was wrestling season and he was working out 3 to 4 days a week. Plus he was getting taller. So we're like, oh, maybe it was a growth spurt and he's exercising and he's, eating a little healthier. I don't know, then he was, he was drinking a lot. He was sick. He was sick. He was in wrestling season. It was the holidays and he was busy and he was tired. So like the main kind of symptoms we saw, we kind of like felt like they were symptoms that could have been other things that were going on. And they probably had lasted about a month. So he was losing weight. He was sick. He was drinking a lot of water. He was going to the bathroom a ton. And we saw it kind of happening, and Mike and I were suspicious that something else was like going on also. And then we were home for break because I'm a teacher. So I was with him, and we were all together for, 24 hours a day. It was winter, December break time. So then things became like glaringly clear that he was drinking like not just more water. It would be lunchtime and he would have drinking his water bottle. Like he would filled it 4 times already.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water for, a 10-year-old boy. And then going to the bathroom and a lot. And then, and he had always been a kid that would throw up. Like, I know that's kind of like, this is a weird, like he just kind of had like he was a Cartha kid. He would be like, he had a gag reflex. So then he was like, so over break, he was like throwing up, but not having the flu. And so he was like throwing up more and like, and then I had gone back to work on that Tuesday when he was diagnosed January 2nd. So New Year happened. My kids had Tuesday off, but I had to go back to work. And my husband called me. He's like, again, we had been kind of suspecting that he had his physical in January. So we were going to talk about it with the doctor in January, right? So we were like, so he's like, Beth, he's like, Chase just threw up after eating a yogurt. I was like, okay. I'm like, we got to get him into his pediatrician.
Right.
So we bring him to his pediatrician. I'm thinking she's going to order tests. She's like, okay, like, well, we'll order some tests and then we'll go home. And she's like, all right. So I told her, I go, and we did the Google thing and we were like, okay, well, is it diabetes? Right. So we're like, maybe it's diabetes, but these are some of the things we're seeing. She's like, all right, we'll test his blood sugar and see what he's at. He was over 600. Now, for any, So anybody
what's normal?
So what's normal? Yeah. So normal is anywhere between. Really, Chase tries to keep his numbers between like 90 and which 70 when we start to alarm, but 90 and 170 is like the normal, starting to creep up when we get to 170 range. 300, you're in danger of having ketones. If you are at the level Chase with that, which he was at that point, he was in diabetic ketoacidosis.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she's like, okay. So I love our pediatrician. She's amazing. And she's like, she was absolutely wonderful. And she's like, okay, so you're going to need to bring Chase to the emergency room. And I was like, what?
Oh my God. How scary.
Terrifying.
I was like, can we go home? I have nothing packed. I was like, so she's like, you can go home and grab a bag, but then you need to go right to the emergency room. And so Chase, like, we'll talk about Chase, but he was amazing through this. And so kind of our whole mantra has been like, if Chase is okay, then we're okay. We kind of gave and he was awesome. We were I go, what do you want to bring with you? And he was like really into Rubik's Cubes at the time and like so he had we're in strong emergency, children's emergency care. He's like doing the Rubik's Cubes for all the nurses there. And he and meanwhile, I'm like, what is happening? So then like shortly after we got there, we were in the emergency section for a while. And then we got into pediatric endocrinology, like they were able to finally get us up there. And then like the effects of the diabetic ketoacidosis, like really, he was like extremely sick. Like as they were trying to get him like his numbers back down, like I was panicking because he wasn't, like, I was so worried that he was dehydrated. He wasn't just like throwing up after eating. He was like, just couldn't keep anything, couldn't keep water. He was so sick coming down from that. And that was the scariest part for us, is when he was like, they he wasn't okay, right? So I said like, he was okay when he was first when he was first admitted into the hospital, and he handled all that really well. When he was like so sick, he was not okay. And that's when, that was really scary as a parent, like to watch your child go through that.
Right.
Yeah.
What was, so when you got to the hospital, how long were you guys there? Did they have to admit him, or was he?
So he went into the critical care unit. So we were admitted into the emergency, and then they waited, and we got him into the pediatric intensive care unit, ICU. And so then we were there until so we were in ICU about a day and a half. Once they got his numbers regulated, so if we were in 2, by Wednesday, they were able to get us into the endocrinology unit. And then that's when he was really sick, and we were in like in the hospital in one of those like shared rooms of like,
multiple people. That is so the worst.
And so there's like little kids who are running around, which I was like, I'm so glad that you're feeling like you're great. And like, so then like, did Mama Bear come out?
I'm like, sure.
We need to get him into a room like this. I go, we cannot be here. Like he is so sick. Like this isn't like recovery. He is like, I was like, I was like, I was yelling a bit. They were very kind.
Hey, we've all been there. We have all been there.
Him into a room. He cannot feel like there's kids running around. I'm like, this is. Then they got him in a room, and they were able to like stabilize him. He was not like as sick, and then we were able to start to do some of the education. That's the next part. So then he was awake, and in order for him to like be released from the hospital, there was a whole education course that we all had to go through before leaving.
Oh wow!
About how to manage type 1 diabetes and learning how to calculate his correction ratio and his carb ratio, and the whole mathematics behind like trying to figure out every time he ate something, like how much insulin he needed to get. And then what happens when you're too high, what happens when you're low. And so we had to go through like a series of videos that like Mike and Chase and I all had to watch. And then he was released. So he was admitted on, we actually got out pretty quickly because we were like, Mike and I were we kind of pushed, we wanted to get him home. We could have been there longer, but like, we felt like we had a good grasp on what we needed to do. And part of that, like, so I had gestational diabetes. So whereas like when I was pregnant with Chase, which isn't related, but I had at least some of an idea of like what it means.
Right.
So I felt like I had to give myself injections with insulin when I was pregnant. So like I had an idea of like what to do. And Mike was there through that part of it too. And so we were like, we pushed. And so we were out by Friday morning. So
that's good. So you had the weekend to like.
So Tuesday to like Friday, but like I said, we kind of like pushed. We're like, let's get him home. And many families have to stay longer than that. Like,
to kind of get things stable. That's so wild. I can't imagine being in your shoes and watching Chase go through that. You were so strong though. And it's crazy. So tell us so after you guys left the hospital, just from then till now, how has life changed after this diagnosis for Chase and just for your whole family?
This is a hard one. Life has changed, definitely, but we really tried to keep it as normal as possible. And we never wanted Chase to feel like there wasn't anything that he couldn't do. And so there were obstacles to things like that he has to do now to eat and be safe and to be healthy. But we never wanted it to be like, we can't do this now because. And so it's been I mean, life has changed. Of course it has, but it was never been anything that we really wanted to like emphasize or like put that on Chase. Right. So it's just kind of like we, I mean, one of the misconceptions, and we'll talk about that a little bit after, is like diabetics shouldn't have carbohydrates. That's like a big, but kids definitely need carbohydrates to grow and to like get stronger and to have energy. And so just like trying to navigate that balance of the family of like having family members that have had type 2 diabetes, which is very different than type 1 diabetes. And so the difference is like when you have type 1 diabetes, your pancreas stops producing any insulin. Your pancreas dies, right? It becomes like in type 2 diabetes, your body still produces insulin, but it's not working the way that it should. Okay. So it's like a round square peg in a round hole, right? So it's like it's not fitting, it's not working the way. And so there are factors that has put you into type 2 diabetes. And usually the most common is like obesity and like some of those are the factors that will trigger type 2 diabetes. And so a lot of the marketing that you see out there for like food for diabetics is actually for those who have type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for type 1, it doesn't matter what Chase eats, like any carbohydrates, like he has no insulin. So it's like everybody, I think, should eat lower carbs. It just kind of is the healthier way to eat. You should focus on proteins and fruits and vegetables and healthy fats. But like having to, as a family, navigate of like, no, we need to have carbohydrates and Chase needs to have carbohydrates. We just need to calculate for them. And it's like, you can't like Chase, and the balance of like with Chase of with kids, like you got to have a healthy, you can't restrict too much or they'll rebel. Right. So my whole, like as a mom, is like trying to teach them like healthy habits and balance. And like, you can have these because like, I don't want us to be like 13 and 14 and he's rebelling and not
I know, because they will, they will.
Yeah, you will. And then like, so it's like trying to like teach those habits and incorporate those into like our whole family structure and just try to make us like healthier as a family. Right. So that's one of the,
I love that.
So you said that Chase is thriving. He's a wrestler, a musician, he's in chess club, and he plays multiple sports. How do you support him in managing his diabetes while he's staying so active?
So like, one of the things that Mike and I kind of committed to in the beginning is like, we never wanted Chase to, and I don't know if this is going to sound really bad, but like, we never wanted him to like use his diabetes as an excuse for things. Like that probably sounds a little brutal, but like, I mean, there are going to be times where there's something happening and it is an excuse, but not as a general. So we tried to always like make his life as normal as it was before. And Chase was always an active kid. He was always doing things. He was always in sports. He has this like thrill of like just love of life and wanting to be involved and do things. And we never wanted to like him to not have that or never have him think that diabetes held him back from anything. And so like this is crazy. So I told you how he got home from the hospital on Friday. Like that next Tuesday, we're like, all right, you're going to wrestling practice. We're like, we don't expect you to do much, but you're going to go. Like we just wanted him to like keep his routine and keep things as normal as possible. The sports thing has been easy because like Mike coaches Chase too, like it's youth sports. So like Mike has been amazing at coaching Chase in wrestling. He also helps coach football. And so Michael being there has made that easier for him. Baseball, Michael is not coaching, but baseball is a little bit of a different, physically as a sport than like wrestling and football. And so his coaches know, and they've been really supportive and really awesome. But I think like, if we want to talk about like the biggest, like how he's able to do so much with us, obviously we're not there, but when we're here, it's us, but we're not there. Like his school nurse is amazing. Like talk about like the unsung heroes of kids like with diabetes and other things. Chase's school nurse is unbelievable. She is like, she follows, and so the school nurse has been, she follows him on his like Dexcom follow app. She texts us. She is there for us the whole time he is at school. So she has been amazing support system for him at school. And then, I think about this too a lot with him being able to do so much. and like the way that the advancements in care and for people that have type 1 diabetes, how much it has like progressed in like the last 20, 30 years, where it's like, I mean, Chase now, like he has a pump, he has his continuous glucose monitor, and that connects to his pump, and it has a control IQ that will give him insulin based on what he needs. And it all connects to his cell phone that we all follow, and we get alarms when he's low or high. And that has given him a quality of life that like, I don't know how it was before.
Technology is amazing.
Technology is amazing. And like, that was an obstacle for me as a mom. Like I was always going to be the mom that was like, no phones till 8th grade.
That's a one-way ticket to a phone.
And then you see that the parents say, oh, he has a phone and he's in 4th grade. I'm like, and then me and like my insecurity, I'm like, well, he's type 1 diabetic, and it's for that reason I feel like I have to justify. But it's like,
no, people are judgy. It's not right. Like sometimes you just have people are going through things that you don't understand, and
that's amazing though that you can get an alert on your phone. That must give you so much peace, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm like, he's currently he's at 149 straight across. Where to go? Where to go?
Right.
I guess
I would be like stalking it every 5 seconds.
It is definitely. Yes, we were both, Mike and I both were pretty obsessive with that. At first, it's gotten a little bit better as his numbers and how he's been a little bit more. And that's one of the hardest things is trying to figure out what the appropriate ratios are when you have a kid that has type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
I've heard as you become an adult, like everything stabilizes better and it's easier, but like, when kids have diabetes, there's so many different things that can like impact like what your numbers are. Like if you sick or you're going through a growth spurt or Chase is 10, like hormonal things starting to happen. And like so many different things can affect like your numbers. And then sometimes it's just like fluky and random. And and that's what makes it hard for some of these events where like, you know, I'm like, we've done everything to try to get him in range, but he's got baseball practice and he's been shooting low today. So you might just want to keep an eye on it. And you try to do the best that you can to make sure that whenever he does go to the things that he has to go to, that he is in range, but he wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff. So he didn't have like such like the great support system outside of us too, right?
And the willingness of like you said, like the nurse, the coaches, you know, people who surround him. And I do feel like we live in general in a very compassionate world. You know, I feel like there is a lot of crazy stuff going on, but in the end, like the people who work with our kids are amazing. So that's so good to hear.
Agreed.
So walk us through a hard day with type 1 diabetes. Like I know in one of your posts you mentioned like, you know, sleepover pickups or just tough practice days when his numbers are all over the place. Walk us through one of those hard days.
Yeah. So it's, well, I think what can be hard is like, and bottom line as a parent, like, so if you could do anything, there he is. Oh my God.
Hi, Chase.
I need my kind of like, I'm just talking about some of your hard days. He's just hiding over here. If you really want to listen to me talk about this, okay.
You can say hi, Chase. We can hear you.
Want to say hi? Here he is.
Hi, Chase.
Hi.
He's so cute.
We're loving hearing your story. You're a tough guy.
Thank you.
I love your wrestling shirt.
Thank you.
I heard you're killing it in wrestling. Okay, we won't ask you any more questions.
Okay, bye-bye. I have to talk about you now.
Because she's so cute. He's getting so big. It's crazy. I still can picture him in diapers.
He's like a little mini Mike.
He is totally a little mini Mike. Oh my God.
Isn't it great when you like go carry them and push them out and then they look just like your husband and you're like, what the heck? You always say that.
Yes. And like at least 2 of my children, the boys especially, are like built like Mike. They look like Mike. I'm like, I don't even know.
Were you even involved in the equation?
Am I even part of it?
If you weren't pregnant for 9 months, right?
No. And Chase was big. He was 9'15" when he was born. He's a big boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was good. The hardest part of those days, and so it's hard because like as a parent, when it comes down to it, like you wish you could just take it away for them. Right. Like, and that's like, I wish that like, and so when he starts to get upset and frustrated, those are the really hard days because I just like in a second, I wish I could just take it away from you. And I wish it could be me. And so like I kind of said this a couple of times, like if he's good, we're good. So what happened when he is hard days, like he can get frustrated. So when he was first diagnosed, like he loved sharing, like he was in third grade at the time and he shared from his class and he showed like he did a whole thing and teaching his classmates about diabetes. And then, and it was great. And now what's hard, I think in fourth grade is like, he doesn't want to be different anymore. Like he just wants to be, it's no longer cool or exciting. It just can be frustrating and annoying. Yeah. And so there's definitely burnout feeling with type 1 diabetes. You're like sick of like having to wake up. Okay, what's my numbers? I got to put in, I want to have a piece of toast. Well, how's that going to affect me? Like, and you just the constant, like of everything you eat, like having to make sure that you give yourself insulin, that can be hard. And then sometimes like you do everything right and your numbers are still off. And it's just like, and those are the days I feel really bad for him. Like he'll go to school and he like where he used to like didn't care about leaving to go see his school nurse. Now like he doesn't want to leave. Like he wants to just be in class with everybody else. And so the days where he's shooting up high, then he's dropping down low and he's shooting up high and he's like, oh my gosh, it's just one of those days. It's like a roller coaster and you feel really bad for him during those days because you can tell he just gets annoyed and he's like, he's just, and I'll talk a little bit about Camp Aspire later, but so for the first 6 months of his diagnosis, he was okay. He was feeling all right. And he got his pump and I think like he thought in his mind that the pump is going to solve a lot of his problems or make his life easier. And it did, but it wasn't like the satisfaction of what he thought it was going to be. Like, I think
disappointing.
So that was really hard in the beginning of summer. So initially we're like, I think Chase is okay. Like, I don't think he really needs to go to camp. And Camp Aspire is a camp for kids who have type 1 diabetes. And so all the kids that go to the camp have type 1 diabetes. They have like doctors on staff, nurses on staff. It's all really like, it's, so it's a really safe, like completely safe environment for the kids to go to sleepaway camp for a week. And so we were like, I think he'll be okay. Maybe he doesn't need to go. But then the beginning of summer, that was the hardest time in Chase's diagnosis of when he was really sad. He was really struggling. He was home now from school. So like there was that routine change. He was like, and we, he just was really sad about the fact that he was going to have to deal with this for the rest of his life.
Buddy.
And so he, I'll talk about the camp a little bit later. How about that? And so we can, I'll talk a little bit more. Yeah. But that's, I guess, the kind of the hard time. Like when he's just, there's so many things.
Hard on him. He's hard on himself. And as a parent, that's hard to watch. I can only imagine.
He's like 10, right? It's not like he's, right? He's still so little. I mean, big, right? I still can't get over how tall he looks, but he's so little.
I know.
So I know you talked about the carbs. Are there any other big misconceptions people have about type 1 diabetes, especially in kids?
So I think going back to a little bit of the struggle that he has to deal with is like the kids thinking that Chase's diabetes was caused because he ate a lot of sugar.
Okay. Right. And in a kid's mind, that logically, it seems logical, right?
And maybe a grandparent has type 2 diabetes and they got it because and so he's had a couple of, and they're kids, right? So they don't know. They're like, oh, you got diabetes because you ate too much sugar. And like to him, that's so, I'm like, I go, you got to just let that, and it's hard, but you just got to like, let that go. And so that's one of the toughest misconceptions is like type 1 diabetes is like, what usually happens is that some sort of virus attacks your pancreas. maybe you have a preconceived like notion. A lot of, if you have autoimmune in your family, you have some things that can, preconceived conditions that could make it so an autoimmune, because type 1 diabetes is also an autoimmune disease that could cause that to happen. But it's a virus that it's like, you can't do or not do anything to get type 1 diabetes, right?
Like,
it just happens.
That makes sense. Yep.
And so that's one of the biggest, like, if I just kids, usually kids have type diabetes. It's not type 2, it's type 1. And there's no amount of sugar or not sugar that you could eat to get that. That's kind of like the big misconception that can be a little bit frustrating for Chase to deal with, I think.
Yeah. Makes sense. So thinking about you and just the mom perspective, what has been the most challenging part of supporting Chase through this chronic disease? From your perspective, I know you kind of weaved in things here and there, but
I think the hardest part is like, I just wish that like I could be the one that had it, and I just wish that he didn't have to have that be a part of it. The biggest thing as a mom that I wish that I wish that I could, if I could do anything, is when Chase is having those hard days, it's usually because he feels like nobody understands what he's going through. And we don't, right? Like, I don't have type 1 diabetes. And we don't understand like what it is like. It's so challenging as a mom to see your child go through something and feel like people don't understand what I'm going through. And it's just, it's really hard. And I wish that that's kind of the hardest part. We try to, for Chase, like when he's awake, we try to have him do a lot of his diabetes care because we want him to learn. We want him to have ownership in it. But there are like, it's the night where it's like, he's alarming and we can't get him down. And those are some of the really challenging parts. And we're like, oh, well, Chase, I mean, for whatever reason, he's sick, he's whatever, it's alarming and you can't bring him down. Like I said, Chase usually sleeps right through it, which is really good. But like we're up and we're trying to get him back into range so then that we can go to sleep, because we don't fall asleep until he's back in range because we're worried, right? So that can be one of the things like you don't really know about. Like if you don't have a kid with diabetes, that like you're as a parent, like we're not sleeping until we know he's in range and that he's there. Okay. But.
So, and he can be sleeping. So he has this pump on, so he can be sleeping and you can be managing this pump while he's sleeping. That's so wild.
Yeah. Sometimes we laugh and like, like, I'm like, oh, did you feel me? Because like, I mean, technology is great, but technology is not foolproof. So sometimes like we'll have to actually do like a finger prick test to make sure like his sensor isn't off or something like that. I'm like, oh, did you wake up when I tested your blood sugar last night? Like he's like, nope, didn't even.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, good for him. I wish I could sleep like that.
And there was times like when we were getting used to the pump and getting his numbers, like in trying to get range where like, as we were learning about the pump and there's like with tubing, like things like air bubbles, things like the infusion site can be bent and he's not getting his insulin correctly, where we'd have to like give him an actual like pen injection to like try to get him down. And they're like, oh, did you feel you get an insulin injection last night? He's like, nope, didn't.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we try to take care of a lot of that stuff for him. So he like doesn't have to. I mean, eventually he'll be a teenager and he'll be an adult and he'll have to do that all on his own. But like right now, we really try to make it so
so he could just be a kid a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like sometimes life is like an emotional roller coaster for you guys. So how do you manage like the worry, the exhaustion, and the fires you're putting out behind the scenes that most people never see?
I don't know. You just do it, right? Like it's just like we support each other, like as a family. We have amazing parents that help us also, and we just again, it's about keeping Chase happy, healthy, and safe, and and that's kind of like So we just, I mean, it can definitely be stressful at times as a family as you're trying to like navigate it, but it's all about like it's all for Chase, right? So we just. just do what we got to do and take care of each other and lean on the people that can help us and that do. And, just try to do the best we can.
Yeah. One foot in front of the other, right? It's so true. It's so true. So what would you say to another mom who's just starting out on this journey with a newly diagnosed child? What would be some advice? I'm sure you've connected with other parents, right? Or maybe not. I don't know how that community is in terms of...
In some ways, a lot of it, we've had some like pockets of that support. Like when we took Chase to camp and when I did the tour to Cure and I learned, haven't really had to yet, but I'm always willing to talk. It's kind of one of the reasons why, like, I wanted to do this is like, I'm always willing to share. And, it's funny with like, just when you feel like you have things under control, something will change. They'll grow. Don't worry about it. Just call the endocrinologist, have them adjust the numbers and everything is fine. And I think you just gotta like, just take it. Like, I know it's like sounds cliche, but like take it one day at a time and just do the best you can. Because there's so many times where you get frustrated and you're like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Like, why aren't his numbers? And you just like, his numbers are off and we can't figure out why it's happening, why it is happening the way that it is. And it's just, you just got to give yourself grace and just realize like it's going to be okay and it'll get figured out and call that's the one thing I wish we had done more in the beginning, especially when Chase first got his pump, is like call the endocrinologist more. And they're perfectly, they're ready. They're like, oh yeah, wait till he goes through puberty. You're going to be calling us every other day. Numbers are going to change. Right. So it's like, and I wish that we had done that earlier. It's just like called them and be like, do we need to make adjustments? And that instead of like waiting and getting frustrated and upset and almost ready to be done with the pump because we felt like things were so not regulated. So that's what I mean. Like reach out to the endocrinologist, give yourself grace and, just take it, one day at a time.
Sounds like you kind of have to live the life of expecting the unexpected. Like you never know when something could happen.
And all you can do is try to like be prepared and like be like have what you need if you need it. But it's just,
Well, let's celebrate Chase a little. Could you maybe tell us about a moment when you were just in awe of how Chase handled a tough situation? Something that kind of made you pause and think like, wow, he's really got this.
It was just like a week ago, actually like a week and a half ago, where his infusion set fell off at school.
Oh no.
And which normally Mike would have had to go up, change his infusion set or be there to help like his nurse and Chase change the infusion set. But we got a text message from his nurse and she's like, Chase's infusion set fell out, but he already changed it and he's back in class already. And I was like,
wow. Oh.
Like I said, we've been working on it and we've been like, Mike and I went away. That was a really stressful situation. But when Mike and I went away, which we've done like an overnight here, overnight there, but we were like a plane ride away in New Orleans and the kids were at my parents' house. So we had videos and we had to do, like, we walked him through and he had done it with us on a phone or whatever, but he'd never just like done it himself without our support and had gone back to class and we didn't even, I was like, oh my gosh,
I have goosebumps.
I know. That's amazing.
It was so cool for him too. Like I said, he likes to do things and he likes but to that, he's a very independent kid in many ways too. So that was like really exciting. And I was really excited for him that he felt confident enough that he could go through that, do the infusion set himself, change it, have it work without any problems and like go back to class and like live his day.
Look at him. Yeah. Wow. He's killing it.
He is.
That's
my
amazing.
independent guy.
That is amazing. And that leads into our next question. He sounds like such an amazing kid. So what do you think keeps him going even when the day is hard?
Weird, but I like keep going. No. I don't know. We've really tried to like have diabetes be a part of his life, but like respecting and understanding and listening to him when things are hard, but also like try to encourage him of like, you can do this. You are amazing. You like, I know this is hard and I know you're having it a moment, but think about like when you get to practice or you get to this, you're going to feel so much better and you just gotta go. Like, and I don't know. I think part of it is just like, sometimes when you get in your own head, it's somebody else that can just like listen and acknowledge you're feeling a certain way, but then also be like, you gotta keep going here. Like, and I don't know if it's right. Like I said, we're like a little over a year in, and I don't know, but you just like try to like keep them feeling positive and keep them excited about it.
That's a huge part of it. Yeah.
And you keep them so busy too, right? With the sports and the clubs and the, that in itself is a huge distraction. So that's so good.
He is a kid with diabetes, but he's also a boy with a lot of energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to keep him moving, channel that energy.
Do positive things so he doesn't get himself into trouble.
Yeah, right.
Boys will be boys.
I can't believe there's not like a pounding on the wall that's happening right now because a ball is being thrown or something like that.
Type of madness is happening.
So we do want to talk a little bit about Tour de Cure and Camp Aspire. So you're raising money for the Tour de Cure. Can you tell us more about the mission behind it and how it helps families like yours?
Yeah, so this is really funny. So I did the ride for the first time last year, but like I decided that like I was having like a mom dramatic moment when I'm in the hospital and Chase is sick with me, and I'm like, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do something. I don't know, like I just
yes.
So I decided when Chase was in the hospital, DK, that like I needed to do something, and I needed to do the Tour de Cure. And I knew people that had done it. Like Tour de Cure is big around here. There's tons of there's always, and so I did it I decided that last year that I was going to, after Chase was diagnosed, that I was going to do it. And I raised money and it was awesome. It was I rode 40 miles on my bike through the hills of Canandaigua and the Finger Lakes. It was not an easy.
Gosh. I mean, that is intense.
It was not, I'm like, okay. Cause I had like trained for it, but it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this was, but it was a wonderful, supportive community. And so I did it last year and I decided I was going to do it again this year. Although I said it in my thing, I have to do it virtually because it's the same day as Ava's dance recital. Always thing.
Of course.
So I'm like, I am doing it. I am raising money. I have to do it virtually, unfortunately, because they're doing it at Stokey Farms this year.
Oh, fun.
So I was like, this would have been awesome and so great for the kids. We're going to do it this year. And then everything kind of got derailed when that's Ava's dance recital. So unfortunately, but we're gonna do it virtually, and but it's really, really cool. It's like through the American Diabetes Association. That's their big like fundraiser to like fundraise about like finding a cure for diabetes and resources. And one of the things they fund, or like with that money, is fund kids to go to Camp Aspire, which is the camp I mentioned earlier about.
Yeah. Let's dive into it. Tell us about the camp. I feel like you can't. I feel like you light up when you say it, so it's obviously very impactful.
It was because this, like I mentioned, I didn't tell the whole story. So we knew about the camp right after Chase was diagnosed. The nurse in the hospital said, Camp Aspire, it's amazing. He's got to go. And then it kind of like through the life kind of fell. And then I mentioned how the summer after he was diagnosed was a really hard time for Chase. And registration had passed for the camp. And I reached out to the camp director and I was like, if I can get Chase to go, like, can I get him in? He's having a hard time. I know this is last minute. Like, is there any way this is possible? Chase at this time was like, I'm not going to camp. I'm not going away. He was in a way. He was not going to do it. He was like frustrated with life and he was unhappy. So I did the thing that you should never do with kids. I was like, what? I was like, so what can I give you? How can I make you go? Like, what?
Right. Buying you something. Tell me what you want.
Because I knew like, this is what he needed. Like mom knew, like I knew. And I knew
your mom got.
I knew I would only have to do this once. Like the bribe would only have to happen once. And I knew it. I was like, what do you need? He named his price. And then I was like, all right.
Okay. I got to know. What was his price?
I mean, it's nothing I'm proud of. I think it was like $200 or something.
Okay. So not that bad.
It was a small investment. I mean, but I'm like, what? He was like $200. I'm like, sold. I was like, what? So I'm like, oh my gosh,
I just paid my kid to go, but hey, it was worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah. So, and I don't even think we actually ended up paying him. We kind of just like, oh yeah, go
we put it in your account. Wink, wink.
Don't let him listen to this because then he's gonna be like, you owe me $200.
Like, oh yeah, $200. So we're like, oh yeah, it's coming to you. It's in your account. So we got him to go to camp. So I got all of his paperwork, everything, and I dropped him off at camp, and I was a mess. I wasn't worried about him. That was not it. Like I knew, like they had, like I felt he was safer probably at camp
with the nurses and doctors.
With the nurses and doctors, but he wasn't home with us. So like it wasn't that. But I was like, oh my God. So I barely held this together, dropping him off. Not really. I'm like, I can't. So I was like very like on the verge of tears the entire time. And so I get Chase set up in his room. So if we walk into his bunk, right? Because it's like a bunk.
This is like a legit sleepover camp.
Yeah.
I love this.
Sunshine Campus, which is right in Rush. Like, so it was like, so we walk into like his bunkhouse and there are like 8 on one side, 8 on the other of all boys 8 to 10 years old with type 1 diabetes. And I was like,
goodness. Wow.
I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Like it was all kids that looked just like Chase. They were like running around and we're walking in and I'm hearing, so there are 2 like teenagers, like 2 teenage boys that were like playing basketball, like having this casual conversation about like how they've been low lately. And I'm like, they're just talking about like, and everybody spoke the same language. And it was like, this is unbelievable. I knew it was going to be amazing. And like, so I drop him off. I get out of his bunkhouse and I'm weeping, openly weeping on the campus fire. So I was like a wreck. I was cried the whole way home. Sick to my stomach, nervous about the whole thing. And he like came back from camp and he was like done with it. He was like, I want to go back to camp.
I love that.
He had the best experience of his life being at a place with kids that knew exactly.
Yes. Oh my God. The relatability.
Yeah. What it was like to be a kid with type 1 diabetes. It was so amazing. They take care of everything for them when they're there. Like, so it's just about them being kids. They manage everything. They do everything for them. So it's like 6 days of them where they don't have to think about their diabetes. They can just be kids. And it was life-changing for him. And it was like, he's been waiting to go back to camp since. And so we're really excited that that he's going to camp and he's registered. And so I'm really excited for him. I will not be weeping this time because I'm so excited for him.
You got one under your belt. So now you know.
Then I bet you like these will be friends he makes for the rest of his life. And it's like this little community that he's building for himself.
Yeah. And a lot of the kids, like they go through camp and then they become counselors for younger kids. And it's like whole this like beautiful, giving back to the group that gave you so much. And it's such a cool thing. And so I'm excited for him. He's like counting down the days. So
I love him. It sounds like fun.
Yeah. I know. And then Cole's like, can I go? And she's like, no, you can't go. Cole's our middle son. So he's like, no, you can't go. And Cole's like, oh, it sounds awesome. I wish I could go.
Chase is like, you're not part of this club. Sorry.
And Chase is like, then you should get diabetes. And he's like, we're like,
one per family.
One's enough.
One's enough, yes.
So how can people support your fundraising efforts or learn more about the camp?
So again, like I said, like even if you have a child with type 1 diabetes and you start to look into it, like again, I joke about the bribe to get him to go, but like that was seriously the best thing that I did, like is getting him to go, because I felt like him having that community of kids that knew exactly what to do was what they're going through was huge. And as they get older too, like they have like talk time. Yeah. And like as they get older, like they talk about things that older teenagers have to deal with, which is like really cool that they again have that community. Yeah. But there is you can like Google the American Diabetes Association Camp Aspire or there's multiple camps throughout the country depending on where you're geographically located. But so that, and then the Tour to Cure, I have a fundraising page, so you can like
we can share it.
Yeah.
In the show notes. Yeah, just send it over and we'll include it in the show notes so everybody who's listening can check it out.
Do the Tour de Cure is really fun. It's like a big party. So there is like, if you want to join yourself, there's tons of teams, or you can just like do it yourself and just like go and just ride.
So fun. I mean, I haven't been on a bike in a really long time.
I would have to practice. So definitely have to practice.
I mean, I can ride a bike, but I mean,
it is, yes, but it is a really cool community and experience. And there's a lot of people with type 1 diabetes that are riding, and everybody cheers, go Red Rider, go. And it's just like a great vibe and
amazing
supportive community that like we were kind of thrown into, but obviously with Chase's diagnosis, but like it has been like the most welcoming and supportive community of people. It's been amazing.
Yeah, that's so amazing. So amazing. Well, as we wrap things up here, if you could shout one message from the rooftops about what it's like to be a mom of a child with type 1 diabetes, what would your message be?
So I was talking to Chase a little bit about this too. I was like, what should the main message be about type 1 diabetes? And Chase was like, it's hard.
It's hard.
So that's it. Like, it is hard. There are hard days and there's good days and there's challenging days, but just like hang in there. And again, they're going to be okay. Kids are amazing. So just like hang in there, parents. And,
it's kids. I say it all the time too. Just, well, know, being a teacher, kids are so resilient. They really are.
Resilient. And just, they're okay. You're okay. And just be there for them. Right. And so much at times we got to make things like about ourselves. Right. And it's like, but they're not, and just be there and support them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And finally, how has this journey changed you as a person and as a parent?
Well, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I just feel like you really, Steph, I think you had said it, like you don't really know what people are going through, or you hear things that are like thrown out all the time about like what people have to go through on a day-to-day basis, and you don't really give it a second thought or understand. And like, I think it just has made me try to like think more about what other people have to go through, and like, not that I ever judge, but just be empathetic and more understanding. Like Lauren, like you still celiac, like making sure that like just being more considerate of like, okay, I'm going to not have food like that, Lauren, just like thinking about other people and what they go through more on a day-to-day basis. I think is like where it's kind of, I wish I could say that I was always good at that and being that way. But I think like sometimes when you're thrown into like situations, I think it has made me as a person just like care more and think more about it and be more aware of what everyone's going through. As a parent, I don't know. I guess I've always tried to just like make sure that they're happy and safe, but I mean, and happy and healthy but I don't, again, it's just maybe more aware of always like what they're doing, like, what they're eating, what they're like, and just to be there.
Hyper awareness.
Yeah, that hyper awareness of everybody, right? And just what they're going through, what you're going through, what kids are going through, which is like not a bad thing, right? Like it's not, I think in general, I think when you have situations that happen to you, you can take it and you can think like, poor me, or this is awful, or you can be like, well, this is the way that it's been positive. Not that it isn't hard and that there are challenges at times, but like just that you can choose kind of your attitude with it. And I've always tried to like be positive and supportive and take that perspective. That makes sense.
Yes. Well, you are amazing. And everything you've been through, it's incredible how you are and all that you've done.
How you guys managed it. Sounds like you and Mike are like the dream team.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. At all times.
Definitely, I'm sure test the relationship as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
you guys are great.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life to come on and share Chase's journey with our listeners. And I know this will, help people, have people relate to it. So thank you so much. You are amazing. And we miss you.
I know. Maybe we can see each other not on Zoom sometimes.
I know. We got to get together.
We need to plan a little get together.
Little girls' night, little cocktails like the old days.
Oh, that would be really fun.
We all need one these days.
Yes, we do.
And tell Chase that we appreciate him allowing you to share his story with the whole world.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Please do.
All right. So this interview actually got me thinking, like, as she was talking, I was like, I probably should bring up that type 1 diabetes is actually the most common cause of gastroparesis. Did you know that?
Okay, I did know that because my good friend who I went to
Yes.
elementary school,
Maria.
not elementary school, high school with, Maria, she had, as a kid, type 1 diabetes.
Yep.
And later in life, we learned she had gastroparesis.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, Maria, my old friend and my college friend, like,
Yeah.
you both have gastroparesis. What are the chances?
I know. So type 1 diabetes is the most common cause, but it can also be caused with type 2 diabetes. And it's especially if blood sugar has been poorly controlled over a long period. So high blood sugar over time can damage the vagus nerve. It's all about damage to the vagus nerve, which controls movement of food through the stomach and the intestines. And once that nerve is damaged, the stomach muscles may not contract properly, leading to delayed gastric emptying, which is gastroparesis. And just some red flags that gastroparesis might be developing for anyone who is listening who has type 1 diabetes or has a child with type 1 diabetes is feeling full really quickly after eating, nausea or vomiting undigested food hours later, blood sugar swings, and weight loss.
Yikes, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And, it has me thinking about Maria. And like after college, I remember she was so sick and she couldn't figure out what was going on.
That's
and
probably
then
it.
eventually did.
Yeah.
So
I know.
so crazy.
Crazy.
Wow. All right.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today.
Yes. Thank you for listening. As always, we really appreciate likes, follows, and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And you can find us at I've Got Guts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, or you can email us at I'veGotGutsPodcast@gmail.com.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.